Now, some people, this is germane to Rule 9. If old memories still upset you, write them down carefully and completely. If old memories still upset you, if they still grip you, they come back involuntarily, it means that there are holes in your map of the past. There are places you've been that you went to accidentally that were not good places, and you don't know how the hell you got there. And the wise, unconscious parts of your mind that are concerned with threat, they don't like that. They think your map of the world was faulty enough so that you deviated into this hellish place once before, and you don't know why. So that means it could happen again. And so insofar as that part of your mind is convinced that it could happen again, because you don't know what happened, it'll never let you forget. You can't forget anything you don't understand, especially if it hurt you. So in the past authoring program, this is what you would do in therapy, which one of the things you might do in therapy is we have you break your life down into 7 epochs. You can break it down however you want. You know, we kind of naturally do that if you tell the story of your life to someone. When I was in elementary school, when I was in junior high school, when I met my wife, my first relationship, however that appears to you. Imagine you broke your life down into 7 sections and then said, well, just write down the most significant things that happened to you during those times, negative and positive. And then, why do you think the negative things happened? And what were you doing right so that the positive things happened? And how could you do more of that and less of the things that got you in trouble? And that's worth revisiting, you know, because some of the things you do when you're like 17 or 16 or 5 or 30, you know, you were young and you didn't know what the hell was going on and you did stupid things. And now maybe you're older and somewhat wiser and you can go back and take a look and you can think, well, here's how I should have conducted myself. And if I conduct myself like that, improved me going forward, things will work better. And the part of your mind that keeps track of how unstable your existence is will be very pleased to see you sort those things out. And that's very good for your health, by the way, because one of the ways your brain computes how stressed you should be on average is by computing how many terrible things have happened to you in the past that you don't know how to fix. And the more of those there are, the more your brain thinks that's how dangerous the world is. And the more dangerous the world is, the more you're on edge and stressed. And stress makes you old. Like, the more stressed you are, the faster you will age. There's no distinction between those things. And so if you can clean up your past, you lower your levels of stress, you improve your immunological functioning, and you decrease the rate at which you age. Plus, you won't be plagued by horrible memories, and you should be able to move forward with more effectiveness. So that's a pretty good deal, and you can do that badly. And so one of the instructions we have in the self-authoring program is, don't be writing this down perfectly. It's like, what the hell do you know? And you're not a professional writer anyways, and so just get it down as stupidly as necessary. And it'll improve as you write through it. You can edit it and clean it up, make it more coherent, and you want to work on it until you think, now I've got it, because you want to have it, because it's your bloody life, and so you want to have it. And then the future authoring program, this is the one we did the most research on. There was a fair bit of evidence before we made these programs that if you got people to write about their lives, that did produce improvements in physical and psychological health, and that those improvements were proportionate to the degree that deeper understanding had been reached. It wasn't a consequence of emotional expression or catharsis. It was a consequence of coming to a more sophisticated understanding of how you got to where you were, and development of the ability to protect yourself against that as you were going forward. Why do you remember the past? So that you can duplicate things that worked in the past, and so that you can cease to do the stupid things that hurt you in the past in the future. You don't remember the past to keep a record of it. You remember the past so you can extract out useful information going forward. Well, that's That's the story of your life. That useful information going forward, that's the story of your life. On the future side, so imagine there's a couple of different ways of conceptualizing yourself. You sort of conceptualize yourself as a clockwork robot that's driven forward by deterministic impulses and needs and drives, and you're sort of a machine, a deterministic machine, driven forward by causal processes in the world. That's the modern metaphor for a human being, and it's wrong. It's wrong partly because no machine that works like that can survive into the future because the future is unpredictable. And so if you're just an automaton, you do the same thing that you did in the past, but the future isn't the same as the past. So that's not going to work. So whatever you are, it's not that. It's also not exactly the case that what you confront is a world of objects that drive you forward. What you seem to confront, what your consciousness is for, is to take the possibility that's in front of you and to determine how it might be shaped. Now, you know this. You wake up in the morning and you're not thinking about the furniture in the bedroom. You're not thinking about the objects around you. You're thinking, oh, it's a new day, and maybe you're happy about that, maybe you're not, but you're definitely thinking it's a new day, and you're starting to grapple with the possibilities of the day, right? Because the day is a set of unrevealed possibilities. That's what it is. It's not a set of determined objects. It's a set of unrevealed possibilities. And you have a certain degree of choice in relationship to that set of possibilities. And if you have any sense when you're sitting there in bed, you're trying to figure out how to turn that realm of possibility into the actuality that you would like it to be. Now, you can be all bent and warped in that pursuit because maybe you're angry and bitter and resentful, and all you can do is conjure up images of how you could make your life worse or someone else's and extract out the revenge that goes along with that. Or you could be thinking, seize the day. What could I do with this expansive possibility that's in front of me? That'll certainly be true on a daily basis, and it's true on a weekly basis and monthly and yearly. It's this tremendous expansive potential in front of you, and you're called upon to grapple with it. To what end? That's the question. That's always the question. To what end? To what end? That's the question of fiction. Towards what end? Hero or villain? There's a choice. And that's just the beginning of the choice. To what end?